Hey, aloha everyone. Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness and Stand Together Hawaii.com. Super excited today. I get to interview Brittany Anderson. She is running for District 1, the Hamakua Coast. I am putting out there that she is going to be our representative for the Hamakua Coast because we need this woman in office. She absolutely has my vote. And I want to just do a little quick intro of her and then let you know again, if you have not picked up Great Maui Land Grab, What Caused the Maui Fire and Is Your Home Next? The only place you can get this book currently is at the website greatmauifire.com. This is Great Maui Land Grab is the name of the book, but the place you can get it is greatmauifire.com, and we are getting the word out that Maui was attacked and what we can do, because there are things that we have power to do, you guys. It's not just a spectator sport right now. We actually have way more power than we realize, especially when we come together. So I am super excited to introduce to you Brittany Anderson. She has her own farm that her and her family have been running since 2018, and it's Sugar Hill Farms. She also does a lot of volunteer work. She's been supporting the National Farmers Union Women's Conference and Hawaii Island Food Summit. And she's just an amazing person to stand up and see the atrocities that are happening here on Big Island and making a stand for doing something different. So thank you so much for joining me, Brittany.
Thanks for having me.
So I first saw you. Somebody sent me your video on what's going down with the bills 121, 122, and 123. And I did do a testimony, it was yesterday or whatever.
Mhm.
I think it was yesterday. Time is
Yep,
flying
yesterday.
by. And about that, can you let people know? Because all farmers, if you live on Big Island, and even if you don't, let me just tell you guys, check your planning department, because there are things that are going down throughout the United States, I would say even throughout the world, through the planning departments that are taking away freedoms, and these bills are absolutely on that agenda. So Brittany, can you please explain what these bills are?
Yeah, so Bill 121 is to regulate hosted vacation rentals, and they're starting to try to redefine things. You'll also see it, I believe it's 122 that redefines Ohana. Um,
123.
right, or through
Mm.
123 is redefining. It's a trio of bills that they've kind of lumped together to redefine what hosted is, where you can host, and of course, regulating who you can have stay in your home. Um, there was some interesting language that I think has is still removed. It's kind of sneaky. They remove things and then put them back in. There were so many little extra tidbits, communications and amendments and things that went on yesterday. It was a lot to take in, and
Mm.
I think they were trying. One of the council members was trying to take a break, actually, because like let's just table this because there's been so much with the testimony and then all of the little additions. But there had been language in there that dictated where you could sleep in your own home, and my ears started to kind of perk up when I saw that, because growing up, I always heard the like keep government out of the bedroom. I know I'm young enough to remember when that was happening, and I feel like we need to start saying that again. Like,
Mhm.
let the government kind of step aside. I worked with Bill 108 when Bill 108 was coming out, and that was for unhosted vacation rentals. And even that felt really, really regulatory. We worked really hard to make the language as ambiguous as possible. And now we're seeing with 121 and 122 and 123, they're kind of looking at Bill 108 as saying, well, there wasn't enough teeth in that. You know, you had to register, but now we want the platforms to every month give us the name,
Mhm.
address, TMK number, how many times it's been rented. I think they wanted to know too from the vacation rental from the platforms like Airbnb and VRBO. And I just had to think, what are they going to do? That's like protected information, right?
Mhm.
Your name and your
Privacy. It's
address. Like,
privacy.
what are they going to be doing with every month? They're going to get a print. What are they going to do with that? You know, they don't have enough people to go and investigate other things. Where are they going to come up with all of these people that are going to comb through all this data to find the elusive people that are abusing it? And that's not, it only hurts the people that are doing it right, you know.
Absolutely. And
It's,
what I want to just say is the fine. There's like a
oh
$2,000
yeah.
fine, and you can pay this $2,000 fine, and then you can break this law if it becomes law, which absolutely, let me just tell you guys, this is absolutely against the Constitution. And this is what I said in my testimony to Heather Kimball, who is the one that wrote this. First, I asked her if she had gone into any of the farms on the Hamakua Coast, which is her district, and asked any farmer what this bill would do to them, how would it impact them. And then I said, this is against the Constitution. They cannot make a bill against the Constitution. This is what these people think that they can do. They can just ignore the Constitution, violate their oath of office, and create a law. If this bill goes through, it violates the Constitution, making it null and void, which I am absolutely taking action for this, you guys. But Heather, what would you say to that? Because this bill is totally Nazi formed, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, the registering of everybody, it is, I think it's an intrusion. And so I testified yesterday, after you. I was one of the last people, one of the last people to arrive and sign up. But I want an economic impact study, because if we can get some numbers, I always say the point is to control. It's not necessarily the point to get money, or like I think Heather Kimball said, if I wanted to get more tax money, I would just let vacation rentals be everywhere. Um, so, you know, they might not care, but at least we would be able to stall and get that economic impact study. And I believe Ashley Kirkowitz, from down in Puna, District 4, no, 3, anyway, down in Puna, and she has submitted for a bill. I think they're voting on that today, or they're exploring that today.
What bill
So
is that
that
one?
would it's like 5 something. I can't believe they're up to 5. Um, but yeah, that would be the best thing that we could do, and we could actually then have supporting documents when we say, look at all the people that are supported by the industry. Look at how much these towns benefit. I mean, Honamu is kind of it's holding on by a thread.
Mm-hmm.
Our rural communities are there's no great center to them anymore.
Yeah,
During sugarcane plantation times, they were bustling towns. And now they're just kind of holding on by a thread. And so
yeah,
they rely on tourism.
that's right.
And, you know, when we start thinking about government controlling an economy is just, it's not complicated, it's complex. And you can't really, you can maybe steer it like a ship, but you can't take it apart and put it back together in a way that you want. There's so much nuance involved in an economy. And so when we hear Heather Kimball say that she wants to change the economy away from tourism, it's like, into what? Right. And the point is not, well, I mean, her point maybe is to destroy the economy, to destroy our livelihoods. I used
Absolutely.
to have a vacation rental. We had one in our home in Hilo before we moved out to the farm, and we met so many people, and we could
Yep.
direct them to local places to eat, and really kind of have a cultural exchange. And for farms especially, people want to come and experience a farm. So
Mm-hmm.
it's disheartening, especially from somebody who represents the Hamakua, who
Mm-hmm.
represents District 1, to be kind of so out of touch with the constituents.
Oh my gosh, yes, you just said it perfectly. And the tourism, because I live up in Hakalau, so that's not too far away from you. And if the tourists go to the big hotels, they're not going to, they'll rarely come up to Hamakua. They're not going to know about the small farmers markets. But when they do a vacation rental up there, then they get to know the locals and where we shop and things like that. So this is, again, this is a total invasion of privacy. I even told them, I said, where in the Constitution does it say you can do this? The Constitution says we have the right to own property. The Hawaii Constitution says we have the right to own property, but it doesn't say you have the right to own property and the planning department gets to tell you what to do with that property and then fine you if you don't comply with what it is they want. And what you said was really interesting when you said, Heather Kimball said if I wanted more taxes, I would allow more Airbnbs. Or who does she think she is? Is she a dictator here? I would allow. This is
God.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. This woman needs to be out of office. She has violated her oath of office. That right there should have her step down. Anybody who votes for something like this violates their oath of office, and they should step down. So that is absolutely, this is not what our forefathers wanted for this country. And I do know that Hawaii is not a regular state as the other states of the union are, and it's got a very different past and a very different history. But this absolutely moves toward communism and an authoritarian government. Absolutely. So, Brittany, what is your hope for the Hamakua Coast, and what else would you like to say about these bills? Because if you guys are watching, please go to standtogetherhawaii.com. You can actually click on action and scroll down, because I have written already an affidavit against Heather Kimball showing that she has violated her oath of office. So there is action to take right now at standtogetherhawaii.com. But Brittany, what else would you like to share about these bills?
Well, so if we come from the point of view that Hawaii is occupied by the United States, which some people feel, and that's their perspective. The Great Mahalo happened 1849, 48, and it allowed people to actually own land. And that's something that was really, really unique. And that is why there is that kind of statement within the Hawaii Constitution that says that you can own property, because it is something that was granted to the people from the king, and so they were allowed to now own property. And so when you kind of toss back and forth this, like, it's a very American, like, westernized perspective to own land. I always say we're stewards to the land that we have here on our farm. I like to think we're very good stewards. And you always strive to be a good steward of what you have. But Hawaii had recognized land ownership as part of the kingdom at the time. So, it's this kind of give and take, this back and forth of, well, if you don't think that we're a state, we still can own property because that was given to us under the kingdom. So, I just like to kind of note that, because there are those people that kind of go, that's such a mainland thing to, like, own property and do with it what you want. But it's in the Constitution for a reason, especially the Hawaii
both constitutions, because every state has a constitution of themselves, and then the United States of America, which when you get Great Maui land grab, you're going to understand that this is no longer United States of America. It's actually United States Corporation. And it actually goes through the whole chronological history of how the banking elite families have taken over. This is why, in my opinion, these government agencies are doing stuff like this, because they are for profit. They're actually a corporation, not for the people, by the people. And this is why we need people like you to come in, because they are keep moving toward a corporate takeover, which is already taken over. That's a whole nother story. But saying that,
I mean, the corporate, when you talk about the Hawaii County Council has a lawyer, it's the corporate council. Yes. And so they have a corporation. And so it takes on kind of a life of its own. And we need people in office that understand that they are stewards of that position, and not use it as an opportunity to kind of, like, lord over everyone, which I think has started to happen in a sense. We've seen so much come out of Heather Kimball's office, like she wanted to create a downtown tax on businesses in downtown
I
Hilo.
missed that last word. Say that
Oh,
again.
it's a tax.
Oh,
They
text.
wanted to create a tax for businesses in downtown Hilo to provide them with security and police, which is a very like mob boss kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like, well, if you pay us, we'll protect you. And you're like,
That's always
you're
protection.
supposed to providing that kind of generally
Anyway.
speaking,
Mm-hmm.
like so that thankfully that got stopped. But it's like it knows no bounds. She knows no bounds. Bills 47 and 48 that came out, no, 57 and 58. It started as bill 44, and it's shifting taxes for or tax programs for farmers. And so a lot of farmers don't qualify for the new tax programs, and they're looking at a 2,000% increase in property taxes.
Are you
And
guys
she just
listening
is
to
like,
this? Farmers,
eh,
we gotta get on board, everybody.
yeah,
StandTogetherHawaii.com. I send out really easy actions. I tell you, okay, this is who to contact. Here's a blurb of what you can say. Here's the resource if you want to learn more. So standtogetherhawaii.com, you guys, especially if you're on Big Island. And if you're not, get your own stand together, your state, because this is how we come together. But we see what's going on in the planning department, and we take action. And all the actions that I have on standtogetherhawaii.com, you can model for your own state. It's already there. The templates are already there, because we do have power. We just have to come together, and we have to have people like Brittany Anderson in place who know what's going on, who see what's going on, and not afraid to stand up and speak the truth, which that's how I found you. Somebody sent me your video showing these bills, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it's just absolutely insane what's happening. But let's go back to 58 and 50, 57, 58. You were saying?
yeah. And they already passed, and they passed without any testimony because nobody knew about it. So you have to, by law, let the public know about bills to allow them the opportunity to speak, whether you listen to them or not. You still have to give them that platform. So we're not sure. I looked back in my emails from Heather Kimball. I didn't find anything. None of my friends who are in different districts, they didn't receive anything from their council members. Um, Possibly they just posted a notice at the front of the county building, which is enough notice to give apparently, and they received no testimony on it. So it passed under the guise that it was actually going to help farmers. And when the farmers started looking into it, we all realized this is going to increase my taxes, or I no longer qualify for any property tax relief because I'm only eating from my farm, or I'm only providing my fruits, vegetables, meats for, at no cost to my family. And so those people had received a nice property tax relief. And now they're not going to be able to qualify for that anymore. And so we're looking at, I have quite a few farmers that I know who paid $200 a year for their property, and now they will be paying $4,000 a year. And that's
Oh
like,
my
that can
goodness.
break somebody. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you're not rich. When you're
No.
farming in Hawaii, you're really not,
Yeah,
you,
you're
you
sometimes
have a
just,
great view, but
yeah, treading
yeah,
water is a lot of
yeah,
farmers,
and
just barely making it through.
barely making it, or they're living off of life savings, and they
Hmm.
realize, this retirement plan was not what I thought it would be. And now
Hmm.
they are destitute, and they move back to the mainland and live with their children. These types of scenarios, it's hard to not assign a malicious intent to it
Hmm.
because
Oh,
it feels so like a slap in the face.
evil. It feels evil. And also these bills are against the Constitution. And I keep going back to that because that's our foundation. So I'd like to look into these more, because anything that goes and violates the Constitution is null and void. We have to take action toward that. Now, I've never done this, but I know people who have. So I will be looking into this because I feel like that's our kuleana. That's our responsibility. That's ours to do, when we are being attacked, which this is an attack on farmers, to get,
Mhm.
in my opinion, to get them on off, to do another land grab, big island land grab. And, for people like Heather Kimball to put out bills like this, it absolutely shows that she's not a stand for the people when she doesn't even understand her constituents are farmers, and some of them are just, like I said, treading water with the things that they sell on their farm. And people who are
Yeah.
in Hawaii, some people don't understand. They think, oh, go live on Hawaii. It's not every fun and games all the time. It's sometimes really hard work, and you struggle with fire ants and with cane grass and with different things that are just not on the mainland. So people, it's not always fun and games here, but we can we can have an amazing place if people come together and take a stand for freedom, which you are doing. So I really appreciate you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I would just really like to get the government back to providing the core services we pay taxes for, right? We pay taxes. Whether you think taxation is theft or you understand that, sometimes government needs some money to do some good for you, right? Like paving roads and fixing bridges. District 1 has the most amount of bridges
Yeah.
than any district, and a lot of them you cannot drive a fire engine over or an ambulance because the weight limit. Or right now we have roads that are closed and bridges that are condemned that are forcing farmers to have to travel about 15 minutes one way to get to the highway, and then through a detour over another bridge that can barely hold, you can't put a cattle carrier over it.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's severely limiting. So we have a lot of bridges that need attention. We have wastewater treatment facilities, two of them in District 1 that are dumping sewage into the water.
Mm.
And so we need these things fixed. And I've heard this perspective a few times. Um, this perspective a few times that, well, District 1, we don't bring in a whole lot in taxes, so we should, deal with things falling apart a little bit. And we're an entire county,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, if we only were dealing with the taxes that we brought in, well, then we would be our own county within a county or a town, and we would be able to tax ourselves to provide the services that we want. But we're not. We're an entire county. And so Waikoloa can pay for the farmers' bridge, the county bridge, to be able to truck their product to the hotels that
Yeah, which is
are
Waikoloa.
buying it, right? Like,
So for those of you who don't know who Waikoloa is, Waikoloa is kind of the ritzy area. They're very
Yeah, we got
well
like
off, golf
Four
course things.
Seasons, you've
Yeah.
got the Hilton, it's like fancy, fancy. And
Mm-hmm.
they're allowed to they've built single family homes. The hotels have built single family homes to rent out Airbnb style. So the hotels get to do it. Meanwhile, the people that work at the hotels have to drive sometimes 3 hours
Yeah, that's right.
to get to their job
That's
when
right.
they're building single family homes. So
Yeah.
instead of providing a place for their workers to live, they're
Mm-hmm.
just providing an alternative to Airbnb because they're ruling Airbnbs out of existence in your
And
home.
then they're fining those people who
Yeah,
want to do Airbnb in their house as a supplemental income to
right.
keep their farm.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so you guys are hearing this again. Standtogetherhawaii.com. Even if you're not on the islands, you can join standtogetherhawaii.com. Just go there, click on the link to join us. You'll be on my email list, and I'll send you different emails of actions. And it's not a long email. It's very, very simple. Keeps things very, very easy to understand, and also links where you can learn more for your own research. And again, if you're not on the islands, you can always model these, start your own stand together, get your own list going so that because this is a spiritual war, and also a war for our freedom, a war for the freedom of not only us, but our keiki, our children. And it really is coming down to the wire now, especially with bills like you said, 58, 57 going through, which is just astronomical and breaks my heart. But Brittany, I just want to say thank you so much for the work you're doing, because you've already been doing, a lot of support for the community before this, and now you're stepping up into a bigger game. And that really takes something to do. It takes courage and it takes time and money. And I just want to say so much mahalo, because we need you for District 1. Absolutely. I can imagine you there, and the difference that it would make for you supporting our community for sure. So mahalo for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And
Yeah,
any and how can people
oh,
find you? How can people find you?
sure. You can find me. So my YouTube kind of explaining if you're a farmer on the Big Island, a farmer, a rancher, or a homesteader, and you don't understand what the tax programs are, I have broken it down. I have 2 videos on my YouTube channel. Vote the number 4 Anderson on YouTube. If you'd like to donate to my campaign, you can, even if you're off island, you can still donate. And you can find me at vote the number 4 Anderson.org. So I am so thankful that no big corporations have reached out to me, no unions have reached out to me. I'm not really supported by anyone except for the hardworking people of the Big Island. And so I'm really, really thankful for that.
Oh, that's awesome. So the links will be in the description to both support Brittany Anderson for District 1. So if you are registered to vote, get out there and vote for her. And let's see Heather Kimball. I would like to say personally booted off the island, but just at least out of her position, be a communist position is what I think that that seat. Because when I was speaking to her, I was looking directly at her and telling her you violated your oath of office. And we need all people who are violating their oath of office to support and defend the Constitution of both the United States of America and Hawaii, to make a stand for that. And if they're not going to support the Constitution, then they need to voluntarily step down, because that means that they're violating their oath of office and violating the trust of the people who put them in office. And so, Brittany, I just see you in there. And let's do a
Thank
quick
you.
prayer and finish off with that. Great Spirit, infinite intelligence of all things. You know this is a game. We all came to play, and we all are being guided right now to what is ours to do in this present moment. And we just give so much gratitude right now to Brittany Anderson and her family for her courage and her willingness to stand up and say, I'm going to support the Hamakua Coast. I'm going to run for District 1. And we see her in that position, Great Spirit. We're just so grateful. We get to watch as things unfold, where she easily moves into that position with peace and with ease and with grace, so that she is a stand for the people in a bigger way than she's already been. And we just bless her right now and send her so much appreciation, abundance, safety, and guidance, that all of her guides are inspiring her to do whatever it is that she needs to do to reach the most people, that she easily goes into that District 1 seat. We already see her there, Great Spirit, and we are so, so grateful for that. And we see that all people who are not a stand for the Constitution, who are not a stand for people, for the local farmers, for not a stand for human life, that they are peaceably removed from office, or that they voluntarily step down. And we get to watch as that happens, Great Spirit, all through peace and love and unity as we come together. And we see all people around the world making a stand for their own area, seeing what can be better, and feeling the inspiration and the call in their own heart to do what is theirs to do. And if that's just simply sharing this video or sending an email out or running for an office, we just celebrate them right now, knowing that this world is a better place with all people in it ready and willing to do their part, to do what inspires them in spirit, inspiration. And Great Spirit, we know it is already done, and we get to watch as this world becomes a peaceful place of harmony and of love and of unity. And we just know it is absolutely done, and so it is. Brittany, thank you so much again for joining me. So
Thank
much
you.
mahalo for all you're doing, because that is definitely a journey you're on.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Aloha, everyone.